We believed you. We thought you meant it, but what you really meant was that any more war right then was shit, right? Except after a little while, after a little rest, it'd be okay. We're not buying that crap anymore.
If there's anything wrong with my feelings for Dolores, just give me a sign.
No!
Just any kind of sign.
This is the kind of music that tells me to go out there and be somebody!
But name him.
Let him go.
Welcome to another show. Today, we're going to look at the directorial career of comedian Carl Reiner.
Comedy directors, if they don't have a comic personality, I don't think work as well. I'm talking about serious directors who yell. Mostly comedy directors do not yell. If they do, they're not going to get the best work out of their people. You can't say, "For God, now be funny." You know what I mean? You can't get people nervous. You got to make them happy. Like you're smiling now. That's what you got to do for them.
Let's not do this, okay? Please.
I'm just curious. Rogaine. Hair club for men?
I've laid off of your hair.
My hair is perfect.
Yes, it's perfect if you want to look like a madam in a saloon in Tombstone.
The number 10 film on our list is That Old Feeling from 1997.
And the man who is supposed to save my marriage of 14 years tells me that he wants to interface to talk about his feelings.
Oh.
His feeling is that he can make my wife a lot happier than I can make her.
It's a romantic comedy with Dennis Farina and Bette Midler, highlighting Reiner's knack for blending humor and heart. A bride's divorced parents find their old feelings for each other during the wedding reception and over the course of the next few days, upsetting the newlyweds' honeymoon. The film opened at number 4 at the North American box office during April 1997, making $5.1 million USD in its opening weekend. That Old Feeling met with mixed reviews from critics, with a 43% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 14 reviews. This was Carl Reiner's last directorial film. The project's genesis was rooted in Touchstone's hope that Leslie Dixon would pen a sequel to Outrageous Fortune from 1987. The acrimonious relationship between Bette Midler and Shelley Long during production meant that script approval would have been an uphill battle. To avoid conflict, Dixon sidestepped the concept altogether and wrote this on spec with Midler in mind. 6 years after making this film, actors Paula Marshall and Danny Nucci divorced their spouses and married each other in real life.
She had a problem.
You should get rid of Harry and have an affair.
He had the solution.
What do you say?
Rock and roll!
The number 9 film on our list is Sibling Rivalry from 1990.
How'd you kill him? Sex. Sex?
But she has the solution.
Don't think like that.
This comedic exploration of family relationships features a strong ensemble cast. Marjorie Turner has been married for 8 years and is tired of her husband Harry's neglect and his snooty relatives, most of them doctors. One day, her younger sister, Janine, urges her to break out of her rut and have a fling. According to Variety, this film was Kirstie Alley's first solo starring role. Kirstie Alley had played the female lead in Summer School, also directed by Carl Reiner. The film received negative reviews from critics and has a 25% rating on Rotten Tomatoes from 12 reviewers. In his review, Roger Ebert wrote, "The screenplay is founded on the ageless principles of screwball comedy, but the film lacks the energy, the timing, and the sense of manic frenzy that's generated by the best screwball."
All right, gentlemen.
What are we going to do?
Audition.
The number 8 film on our list is Enter Laughing.
Daddy, I want the cute one.
Which one is the cute one?
The cute one in the red jacket.
From 1967, this is Reiner's directorial debut. Based on his own semi-autobiographical novel, it's a charming coming-of-age tale. The film stars newcomer Renee Santoni, Elaine May, Jose Ferreira, Shelley Walters, Jack Gilford, and Janet Margolin. It tells the story of David Kolowitz, a young Jewish man from the Bronx trying to break into the theater and launch a career in acting. The role of David Kolowitz was originated on Broadway by Alan Arkin, who won a 1963 Tony Award as Best Featured Actor in a Play. Arkin also won a 1963 Theatre World Award. When David leaves Angela's dressing room, she recites the famous lines from William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. "Parting is such sweet sorrow," and he responds with 2 lines from Rudyard Kipling's Gunga Din. On Broadway, he originally replied with the opening lines of Joyce Kilmer's poem Trees. "I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree." But midway through the run, the lines were replaced with Kipling's because the authors didn't realize that Kilmer's poem was still under copyright, and they would have to pay a fee every time they were recited. In the end, Carl Reiner and Joseph Stein paid Kilmer's estate $500 and agreed to change the lines. According to Carl Reiner, Jerry Lewis approached him before the film went into production and asked to play the lead. Reiner, while he considered Lewis a comic genius, turned him down because Lewis was nearly 40 at the time, and the lead character was only 17 years old.
Watch out! Bye-bye!
Number 7 on our list is The Man with Two Brains from 1983. Steve Martin delivers a hilarious performance in this zany sci-fi comedy. As an homage, the last name of Steve Martin's character, Dr. Michael, whatever, this was used for the name of a villain named the Worldbringer, abbreviated as the Worldbringer, for the 1987 to 2006 The Adventures of Superman comic series. In it, the Worldbringer was an alien preacher from an unknown world who, since several millennia before, traveled from planet after planet to collect brains in order to create the Union, a vast compilation of brains of all sorts of sentient species of the universe. Kept alive in a specialized tank aboard Flickchart's mothership as a community of collective conscious and shared knowledge. David Cronenberg was Steve Martin's first choice to direct this film after Martin saw Scanners in 1981. However, Cronenberg turned this down because he was busy working on Videodrome and wasn't interested in making a comedy. In the sequence in The Three Amigos, where the title characters have to say a magic word to summon the invisible swordsman, one of Steve Martin's magic words sounds like
Parley, 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 parley,
which is Martin's character's name in this film. The main movie that this film spoofed was Donovan's Brain from 1953, but it also parodied such low-rent B classics as Beast of Blood from 1970, They Saved Hitler's Brain from 1968, and The Brain That Wouldn't Die in 1962. During filming, David Warner asked director Carl Reiner why he cast him as Dr. Alfred Necessiter, and Reiner replied, "Because you were the cheapest."
I hope Mama never dies, you putz!
Everybody has a mom, and every mom grows old.
The number 6 film on our list is Where's Papa from 1970.
His mom was pushing 90. How she carried on.
I fell down, Gordon.
It's a daring dark comedy that explores family dynamics with sharp wit. Gordon Harshesser has some success as a lawyer working as a criminal defense attorney in New York City. However, he still cares for and lives with his mother, a rude, possibly senile 87-year-old widow who is ruining her son's love life. It is the film debut of Paul Sorvino as owner of Gus and Grace's home. A half-hour television pilot based on this film aired on ABC in 1979 as Where's Papa? But the series was never picked up. Roger Ebert rated the film 3 stars out of 4 and recommended it to those who want to laugh and like being offended. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 2.5 stars out of 4 and wrote that Klain has written his screenplay as though he thought it would be his last.
You know what we need? Besides bread, we need a woman who appreciates what we have to offer.
The number 5 film on our list is Summer School from 1987.
You're a semi-charming guy and a real snappy dresser. You're just not the kind of guy I date anymore.
Yeah? What kind of guy you dating now?
Oh, the kind who wears socks.
It's a fun, quirky story about unconventional teaching starring Mark Harmon. The casting of Mark Harmon in the lead major role was the idea of director Carl Reiner. Reiner has said, "We originally discussed having a major comedian for the role. However, Mark impressed me very much in the miniseries The Deliberate Strangler from 1986, in which he portrayed convicted murderer Ted Bundy. When I saw him being interviewed on a news program, he was so personable and had such a winning smile that it was clear he would be well suited for the role of our gym coach turned instructor. And he brings surprising depth to the character. This film led to Kirstie Alley being cast in Cheers as Rebecca Howe. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 57% of 35 critics' reviews are positive, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. The film grossed $35.7 million in the United States, becoming the 32nd highest grossing film of 1987.
There are no cards there.
Look again.
Oh, come on now. There's nothing miraculous about good sleight of hand.
Have you ever seen this one?
The number 4 film on our list is Oh God from 1977. It's Reiner's gentle touch and George Burns' iconic performance that makes this a warm, witty favorite. God appears as a kindly old man to Jerry Landers, an assistant supermarket manager. He tells Jerry that he has been selected to be his messenger to the modern world, much like a contemporary Moses. The film briefly interrupted Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope's 15-week reign at the number 1 spot at the box office in October 1977. Of course, Star Wars then returned to the top spot the following week. According to screenwriter Larry Gelbart, director Carl Reiner initially envisioned his often partner Mel Brooks playing God and Woody Allen playing Jerry Landers. Now that would have been an interesting film. Carl Reiner almost asked Steve Martin to play Jerry Landers, but producer Jerry Weintraub wanted John Denver for the part as he advocated for singers to have starring roles in his movies. Over a decade later, he produced George Strait's starring vehicle Pure Country from 1992. As a result, Martin was never actually offered the role. However, he did eventually work with Reiner several times, starting with The Jerk 2 years later.
Will $200 be enough in advance, Mr. Reardon?
$200, I'd shoot my grandmother.
No criminal is too tough for him.
The number 3 film on our list is Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid from 1982.
Pain is too great.
Where'd you learn that?
At camp.
It's a brilliant parody that seamlessly combines original footage with classic film noir scenes. A detective uncovers a sinister plot. It was Carl Reiner's favorite film that he himself directed. The film initially was planned by Steve Martin and Carl Reiner to be a 30s-era film titled Depression. After Reiner incorporated some footage of a 30s star into the movie, he and Martin decided that the entire movie should be done that way and rewrote it into a mock detective story. Steve Martin suggested using footage of William Hartnell, Red Skelton, Jerry Lewis, Jack Benny, Stan Laurel, and Oliver Hardy, but Carl Reiner refused because he felt it would be funnier if they used footage of actors who spent their careers mostly away from comedies. The movie was part of, if not arrived shortly after, the end of a cycle of a number of 1970s spoofs of film noir and hard-boiled detective films of the 1940s. From the likes of Dashiell Hammett and Raymond Chandler, some of which starred Humphrey Bogart, who was the main target of the parodies. The films included Murder by Death and The Chief Detective, both from Neil Simon. Also Peeper, The Long Goodbye, and Woody Allen's Play It Again, Sam, and The Man with Bogart's Face. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 77% of 26 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 6.5 out of 10. The website's consensus reads, Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid is a more elaborate pastiche than uproarious comedy, but the farce works thanks to the sly lampooning of Hollywood noir and Steve Martin's performance as a goofy gumshoe.
The method of cutting back and forth between Steve Martin and the old movies in this movie is fairly well done on the editing level. It sometimes really does look as if Martin is right there in scenes with actors like Burt Lancaster, Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, Lana Turner, Veronica Lake, and on, Jimmy Cagney. But the result isn't always very effective. There's a curiously flat quality as they cut back and forth between Martin's new dialogue and lines that were first said 30 or 40 years ago. The dialogue doesn't have the timing and toughness of real-life conversational give and take. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid was an interesting idea, I guess. It might have made a good short subject, but as an approach to a full-length motion picture, it gets awfully long, slow, and repetitive. It does have some funny moments. I think I laughed out loud 3 or 4 times, but basically a real long movie based on a real small idea.
I think so too. This is one of those things where you got the feeling that 2 guys got together and said, wouldn't it be cute if we did this? And what they really should have done is, why don't we come up with a very good story before we start to get tricky with the little gimmicks?
Yeah. The number 2 film on the list is All of Me from 1984.
Don't you ever yell at me again.
I'm sorry, but this is not my idea of a good time.
Well, I am not exactly having one of my best days either. I died 5 minutes ago.
This inventive comedy stars Martin and Lily Tomlin and showcases Reiner's talent for physical and situational humor. A dissatisfied 38-year-old attorney and aspiring jazz guitarist, Roger Cobb is dating his boss's daughter, a difficult, eccentric millionairess named Edwina Cutwater, and has been bedridden since childhood. In an interview, Steve Martin once said of the movie, "This man is not an idiot. He is a contemporary person with some brains. He's not naive or a victim of circumstances. He's an intelligent man who happens to get caught in a disaster. That's a big difference between that role and any other part I've played. For the first time, I'm in a story with a beginning, middle, and end. It's old-fashioned and solid. The movie was like going to school. I learned a lot about structure and character." The film was part of a mid-late 1980s Hollywood cycle of body swap, body switch comedies, which also included Vice Versa, 18 Again, and Like Father, Like Son, also Big, which starred Tom Hanks. The film originally was going to star Chevy Chase and Goldie Hawn. That would have been an interesting cast choice as well. The film received an 85% Rotten Tomatoes score based on 40 reviews with an average rating of 7.3 of 10. The site's consensus states a high-concept farce carried by Carl Reiner's deft direction and the precise timing of its leads. All of Me is a body swap comedy worth holding on to.
I am not a bum. I'm a jerk.
And the number one film on our list is The Jerk.
I once had wealth, power, and the love of a beautiful woman.
Steve Martin's breakout comedy from 1979. It remains a classic, blending absurd humor with heartfelt moments. Navin Johnson, a homeless person sleeping in a stairwell in Los Angeles, addresses the camera directly to tell his life story. Now, Stanley Kubrick was a big admirer of this film. He would often recite lines from the film to cast and crew on his films, and he once invited Steve Martin over so they could play chess. Steve Martin and the dog got off to the wrong start when he accidentally dropped mittens on the animal's face. From then on, it cowered when he tried to pet it. Martin recalled, "It was miserable. That dog hated me." The IGN Entertainment website ranked the movie as the 10th top comedy film of all time. On review aggregate Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 82% based on 44 reviews with an average rating of 6.9 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads, "Crude, crass, and oh, so quotable. The Jerk is nothing short of an all-out comedic showcase for Steve Martin." It was the 9th highest grossing picture in the US for 1979, and it was also a worldwide success, grossing over $100 million on a budget of about $4 million. And that was our show for today. What do you think? What was your favorite directorial film of Carl Reiner? Let me know all your thoughts on Carl Reiner's films in the comments section below, and while you're at it, I'd be honored if you subscribe to my channel. Click that little bell to stay informed, and check out the Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise, which is also in the comments. Until next time, this is Kevin Gibbon saying, live long and prosper, may the force be with you, and keep reaching for the stars.